message. Message. And check to make sure we are online. Okay, we are online. Looks like everything's copacetic or working, as the case may be. Let us. Okay, we're going to chant right now. You can turn the volume down. So today is Ekadashi, of course, here. And it's also the commemoration of the disappearance day of Narahari Thakur. And in honor of his disappearance day, I'm going to chant the prayers to the departed Vaishnavas before I speak, and maybe say a few words about him. He's a very important personality. Okay, so let us chant. Let me turn the volume down so it's not too loud. That's better. Alrighty. Ready to go. Lila prema dana karuna pracho Heno bravo kota gela charya taku Kahamora Sarupa Kahatanatan Kahatasuranguna Patita Kavera Ekakale Hutta Kela Gora Atura Ashane Kutimata Anale Rashibo Goranga Gonera Nene Kota Gele Popo Say Sabas Sangira Sange Ye Koilo Say Sangana Paya Kande Narotamatas Yane Yadilo Prematana Karuna Pracho Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Haribo, 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 Jaco, Haribo, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhu, Pad Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Pad Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvatacharya Alsta Teta Sitashi Shimad His Divine Grace Abhaya Charanada Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopa Gopinath Shayam Mukunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Maturanam Ki Jai Jagadada Sami Ki Jai Yamunamai Ki Jai Srimati Dalasi Devi Ki Jai Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaura Premananda Hari Bol. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premananda. Hari 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 Bol. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaura Vani Pracharine Nivashesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Charija Tarine. So Omagana Timidandasha Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Meditam Yena Tasmai Shigurve Namaha. So I mentioned that today is the, actually I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who so kindly opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorance. So I wanted to mention that today is the commemoration of the disappearance day, in addition to being a Ekadasi, of Sri Narahari Sargatakur. And Sri Narahari Sargatakur is very famous in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. He's mentioned in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's song, how Narahari is offering the chamra to the Panchatattva. Wow. Very, very interesting. It's a very, very important personality. He's in Krishna Lila, he's considered Madhumati, who is a Saki. And there's an interesting story about one time Lord Nityananda arrived at where he was living, which is Sri Khanda, and said to Narahari, we know who you are, where's the honey? So what happened, because Madhumati, which is his ontological position in Krishna Lila, her service is to supply honey for Radha and Krishna and their associates. So anyway, so Narahari went to a nearby pond, filled the pot with water, and immediately the water turned to honey, and Lord Nityananda's associates drank from this pot, and they got intoxicated with honey. And actually another point is really interesting. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu allowed Narahari Sarga to chant songs in glorification of him in front of him. Wow, that's pretty amazing. He wouldn't let anyone else do that in front of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because Lord Chaitanya was extremely humble, and Narahari Sarga Thakur was also the guru of Lochan Das Thakur, who has composed many, many, many poems about Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. So it's a very important personality. So we pray, one of the reasons we commemorate the disappearance and appearance days of these great personalities is we pray for their mercy. Because without the mercy of a pure devotee, you will not understand anything. You will not make spiritual advancement. You will not get detached from the material world. Everything's dependent upon getting the mercy of the pure devotee, spiritual master, and the previous acharyas. Otherwise, you won't understand a damn thing. Just like I got a note from one of my disciples today, who happens to be in Fiji. And I think you all know where Fiji is. This is where I'm going in a few days. Anyway, so I got a note from one of my disciples. He was very, very confused. He said he went to speak to many Hindu friends in Fiji. Of course, they don't speak with that accent in Fiji. But he went to speak with many Hindu friends, and he asked them, do you know who Lord Chaitanya is? And they said, no, we don't know who Lord Chaitanya was or is. And he got very confused, so he writes me his letter. He says, oh, my Hindu friends, even the Sanatana Dharma people, they don't understand. They never heard of Lord Chaitanya. And so he said, what's happening here? And I said, well, the reason is they're not connected in disciplic succession. And all their knowledge that they have is not coming in disciplic succession. It's coming from their pundits. who have not studied the Vedas, other than reciting a few mantras to impress their friends and followers, and words coming from their mommy and daddy, their family. Okay. So this involves something we call epistemology. Epistemology means the study of how you know what you know. Really important. Because based on that, we can challenge anyone. And Prabhupada used this type of argument, epistemological argument, many times when talking to people. How do you know what you know? And the way people, or the reason people know what they know, is because they heard it from their mommies and daddies, they heard it from their priests, they heard it from their ministers, they heard it from whatever. Just like I was listening to a class this morning. Prabhupada was speaking to this cardinal in Apatis, Cardinal Danilu. And Prabhupada was talking about animals, how you should not kill animals, and Jesus Christ didn't want you to kill, thou shalt not kill, etc. And the cardinal had all these arguments that animals basically boil down to that animals are not that important, and their soul, who knows, they don't have a soul. And so all his information was coming from speculation, whether that speculation was coming from previous priests or theologians or whatever, but it wasn't coming from the Bible, the Bible. So it wasn't coming from common sense either. So that's a problem. The people get their knowledge from sources that are really questionable. And that refers to everything that we believe in this world, except for knowledge that comes down from Krishna, Dharmam to Sakshat Bhagavat Pranitam, knowledge that comes down from Bhagavan. Otherwise, knowledge is questionable. If someone tells you, for example, about quantum mechanics, I may talk about it sometimes, but it's questionable whether they're right or wrong. If someone tells you about the moon, it's questionable whether they know what they're talking about. If someone tells you anything, it's all relative in this world. Even let's say I'm sitting here. Okay, I have a jacket. I don't need the jacket. It's actually quite warm here, but I feel comfortable. So let's say I'm sitting here and I say, it's cold in here. That's relative knowledge. Because someone else may come in and they'll say, it is hot in here. So it's all relative. So in the material world, you have all this relative knowledge, not absolute. It's all relative knowledge, except knowledge coming down from disciplic succession. That's absolute knowledge. So everything else is questionable. People think they know that they know, but what do you know? You don't even know that you're here. You don't even know that that's me speaking. It may be a robot. I may not be a real person. Or this may be a recording that's been made several years ago. And I may be back to Godhead right now, for all you know. That would be funny. Internet broadcast from the spiritual world. So anyway, let's, with that, a brief introduction. And of course we pray for the mercy of the great devotees. That's how we get anything substantial. By the mercy, by the pleasure of the great devotees, by the blessings of the great devotees, by the instructions of the great devotees. Otherwise, what is there of use in this world? Kamala Dala Jala, Jivana Talamala. Okay. So let us go on to the Sri Caitanya Charitamrta. We are starting the 20th chapter of the Madhya Lila. And yesterday we read the introduction. And today we're going to start with verse number 1. That's usually the beginning of a chapter. Verse number 1. So let's start. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. So, this chapter is about Sanatana Goswami. Of course, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is now in Varanasi, Benares, and he is going to meet Sanatana Goswami. But some interesting things happen before he meets Sanatana Goswami, such as the way Sanatana Goswami got out of prison and went to meet Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Benares. So, Benares is usually a place where there's tons of Mayavadis. So it's not really something that the Vaishnavas really enjoy being in. But anyway, let us continue. 1. Bande Nantad Bhutaishvaryam Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhum Anicho Pitayat Prasadat Shad Bhakti Shastra Pavartakaha. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who has unlimited wonderful opulences. By his mercy, even a person born as the lowest of men can spread the science of devotional service. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Chinanda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to Nityananda Prabhu. All glories to Dvaita Acharya. And all glories to all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Eta Gode Sanatana Che Bandi Shale Shri Rupa Goshani Ra Patriya Kena Kale. While Sanatana Goswami was in prison in Bengal, a letter arrived from Srila Rupa Goswami. So Sanatana Goswami was in prison, and then he got a letter from Srila Rupa Goswami, who had gotten out of the employment of the Nawab Hussain Shah and gone to join Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu previously. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur informs us that this letter from Rupa Goswami to Sanatana Goswami is mentioned by the annotator of the Udbhata Chandrika. Srila Rupa Goswami wrote a note to Sanatana Goswami from Bakla. This note indicated that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was coming to Mathura, and it stated, Yadupate Kvakata Mathurapuri Raghupate Kvagathora Koshala Iti Vijincha Kurushvamana Stiram Nasaridam Jagad Ityavhadarya. Where, this is actually like a hidden message, where has the Mathurapuri of Yadupati gone? Where has the northern Koshala of Raghupati gone? Of course, that's reference to Lord Ramachandra. By reflection, make the mind steady, thinking, this universe is not eternal. Patre bana sanatana anandita haila yavana rakshaka pasha kahite lagila. When Sanatana Goswami received this note from Rupa Goswami, he became very pleased. He immediately went to the jail superintendent, who was a meat eater, Yak, and spoke as follows. Tumi eka jinda piramahabhagyavan ketavakodana shastre achitamara. Sanatana Goswami told the Muslim jailkeeper, Dear sir, you see, this is politics right now, but sometimes politics is used in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He said, Dear sir, you are a saintly person and are very fortunate. You have full knowledge of the revealed scriptures such as the Quran and similar books. Ekapandi charayadi nija dharma dakya samsarahaite tare muktakarena goshana. If one releases a conditioned soul or imprisoned person according to religious principles, he himself is also released from material bondage by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this prisoner, or not the prisoner, but the jailer, was not that intelligent, because Sanatana Goswami was sort of quoting something out of context in order to encourage this jailer to release him. He says, someone who releases someone from prison goes back to Godhead. But actually, someone who releases someone from the prison of the material world does go back to Godhead. But not simply if you release someone from a material prison. It appears from this statement that Sanatana Goswami, who was formerly a minister of the Nawab, was trying to cheat the Muslim superintendent because the superintendent was kind of stupid. A jail superintendent had only an ordinary education, which is what Prabhupada said. He's kind of stupid. Or practically no education. He was certainly not supposed to be very advanced in spiritual knowledge, but just to satisfy him, Sanatana Goswami praised him as a very learned scholar of the scriptures. That's really funny. The jailkeeper could not deny that he was a learned scholar because one thinks oneself fit for that position. Sanatana Goswami was correctly explaining the effects of spiritual activity, and the jailkeeper connected his statement with his release from jail. And anyway, Sanatana Goswami knew how to deal with different people. So when dealing with someone who is bereft of brains, then you could say certain things, and they'll come to their own conclusions. There are innumerable conditioned souls rotting the material world, imprisoned by Maya under the spell of sense gratification. The living entity is so entranced by the spell of Maya that in conditioned life, even a pig feels satisfied. I'll tell you a story about that. Here's a story about a pig. This is not a cartoon. This is a story told by Srila Prabhupada in the Vedic literatures. Once upon a time, Indra, the heavenly king, was cursed to become a pig. What a goal. Or, as they say, porky. It's interesting the word porky, pig, actually comes from Spanish or Latin. Anyway, so he was cursed to become a pig. And so he goes down, becomes a pig, and he has a sow. Now, for those who don't know what a sow means, a lady pig. And pigs have a lot of kids at one time. So anybody has sow, a lady pig. I don't know if pigs have wives, but anyway, so he had a pig family. Oh my God. I'm not going to draw any metaphors here. Okay. So he had a pig family. And what happened is in the heavenly planets, they were missing Indra. So they send a message. Okay, Indra, okay, you're forgiven. Time to come back, buddy. And he says, I'm not going back. I have so many responsibilities. I have all these little piglets to take care of. And they're so cute. Just listen to how they oink. That's onomatopoetic. That's how a pig sounds. Oink! So anyway, and look at their cute little tails. Their little corkscrew tails. I can't leave it. And my female pig, she's just gorgeous. And so, sorry about this humor. I'm just dramatizing it a little bit. How can I leave her? And the other demigods were thinking, what are we going to do to get him back? And so they arranged that the butcher would come and slaughter pigs like the butcher normally does. So his whole pig family became Frankfurters. And so then he said, I guess I gotta get out of here. Well, the getting's good. And so he goes back home, back to the heavenly planets, not back to Godhead. And so you can see that whatever situation one is in, one becomes attached to that situation. One becomes attached to where he or she was born. Oh, it's a place of pilgrimage. I was born, I'm not going to point anyone out directly, but people become very attached to a particular place in this world. It's like their whole life and their heart is there. That's why a sannyasi is not supposed to go back to where he spent his childhood, because the attachment is naturally there. It's very dangerous. I've given the example in the past, and some of you have not heard this example, that once upon a time I was looking at Google Earth. I think you all know what Google Earth is. And so I zoomed in from Google Earth. That means you pinch or squeeze or whatever on the computer. And you zoom in, and I was looking at the place where I spent my childhood, the home that I spent my childhood, the sacred home that I spent the childhood. And I was looking at the house and relishing it from satellite image, you understand. And saying, oh, that was my room, that's where I slept. It's a place of pilgrimage. So one has to be very careful. So that's why a sannyasi generally keeps moving. So the one doesn't get attached to anywhere in this world, because actually we have no home in this world. Our home is in the spiritual world. But like the pig, or Indra when he was the pig, became attached to the pigsty. And can you imagine a pigsty? You know what a pigsty has in it? I'm not going to tell you what it has in it, but it has some pretty disgusting things. I mean, pigs are not known to be very clean. That's why someone who's dirty, they're called a pig. So, anyway, this is the point. And Prabhupada, I'm just proving through example what Prabhupada said. There are two kinds of covering powers exhibited by Maya, means illusion. One is called Prashepatmika, and the other is Avaranatmika. When one is determined to get out of the material bondage, the Prashepatmika Shakti, the spell of diversion, impels one to remain in conditioned life, fully satisfied by sense gratification. So in other words, let's say one takes up Krishna consciousness. I want to get out. I want to be loving to Krishna. I want to love Krishna. I want to get detached from this material world. And this Shakti says, no, you have so many things to do. You have so many desires to work out before you can get detached from this world. Just stay with me in this world. Be patient. It takes many lifetimes. Okay. Due to the other power of Aratmaka, a conditioned soul feels satisfied even if he is rotting in the body of a pig or a worm and stool. Of course, that means you just like satisfied with it. Yeah, this is cool. I like my life. To release the conditioned soul from material bondage is very difficult because the spell of Maya is so strong. I know that. When I'm trying to help people get out of this material world, it's like, whoo! It's like rolling a stone up the hill. But it's a labor of love when you're trying to help people. Even when the Supreme Personality of God Himself descends and delivers conditioned souls, asking them to surrender unto Him, the conditioned souls do not agree to the Lord's proposal. Krishna says, surrender to me, and they say, no way. What do I get out of it? Therefore, Sri Sanatana Goswami said, similarly, if one gets helps another gain release from the bondage of Maya, he is certainly recognized immediately by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as Lord Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita 18:69, Nacha tasman manuseshu kashyan me prikwantama bhavita nacha me tasmad anya priyataro bhuvi. So this is very, very important. No one is more dear to Krishna than someone who helps someone get out of this material world. So that's a major impetus for reaching out to people, bringing them to Krishna consciousness. Because Krishna, you become so dear to Krishna. Krishna never forgets you. Krishna never forgets anyway. But especially, Krishna gives you special mercy. The greatest service one can render, here's really a good operative phrase. The greatest service one can render to the Lord is to try to infuse devotional service into the heart of a conditioned soul, so that the conditioned soul may be released from conditioned life. Now that sentence sums up everything. The greatest service one can render to the Lord remember, I'm repeating, is to try to infuse, turn up the volume a little, is try to infuse devotional service unto the heart of the conditioned soul so the conditioned soul may be released from conditioned life. That's the greatest service. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said that a Vaishnava is recognized by his preaching work, that is, by convincing the conditioned soul about his eternal position, which is explained here as Nija Dharma. It is the living entity's eternal position to serve the Lord. Therefore, to help one get release from material bondage is to awaken one to the dormant understanding that he is the eternal servant of Krishna. Jivara Surupohai Krishnara Nityadas. It's from the Caitanya Charitamrta, Madhya Lila 2108. This will be further explained by the Lord himself to Sanatana Goswami. So this is a very important purport. Yes. And we should all take this as an impetus to enthuse us to reach out to others to bring them to Krishna's love at his feet. There is no other solution. And even in spite of their stubbornness, we have to stick with them and just pull and pull and pull. And pull means attract, not push. Don't push anybody. You pull, you attract people to Krishna. Purve, like Prabhupada did. Prabhupada came to America and he just had the chant. He didn't slam people with philosophy and rituals and everything like it. He got people chanting. Later on, he gave us more and more and more. And Prabhupada was the epitome of compassion. Purveyami tumara kariyachi upakara tumiyama chari kara pratyupakara. Sanatana Goswami continued, previously I've done much for you. Now I'm in difficulty. Please return my goodwill by releasing me. Panchasahasra mudra tumikara angikara punyarta tui lava haibe tumara. And then, here's the thing that really convinced the jailer. Philosophy is one thing, but money's better. Here are 5,000 gold coins. Please accept them. By releasing me, you will receive the results of pious activities and gain material profit as well. Thus, you will profit in two ways simultaneously. So, just to sum up, Sanatana Goswami was using some of the principles of politics when you're dealing with someone who is an enemy. The first one is sweet words. And then a position. And so Sanatana Goswami is reminding him of their previous relationship when Sanatana Goswami was the boss. And then bribery. And that worked. The bribery worked. Sweet words, position, bribery. He was just going down the line and using the principles of politics. Tabe se yavanakahi Shuna Mahashaya Tamarakchadiba Kindukari Rajabaya. In this way, Sanatana Goswami convinced the jailkeeper, who replied, please hear me, my dear sir. I am willing to release you, but I'm afraid of the government. So what am I going to do? I may get caught, taking money from you and letting you go, and the Nawab is going to kill me. But Sanatana had an answer to this too. Sanatana kahi tumi na kara rajabaya Dakshina Giyache Ari Leti Oya Tanhara Kayo Sebaya Kriche Gela Gangara Nikate Ganga Deki Jampadila. Sanatana replied, there's no danger. The Nawab has gone to the south. If he returns, tell him that Sanatana went to pass stool near the bank of the Ganges, and that as soon as he saw the Ganges, he jumped in. Ooh. Aneka dekila tara lagna paila taduka sahita dubi tahanvahi gela. Tell him, I looked for him a long time, but I could not find any trace of him. He jumped in with the shackles, and therefore he was drowned and washed away by the waves. Kichubaya nahi ami deshi naraba taravesha hana ami mokhake aiba. There's no reason for you to be afraid, for I shall not remain in this country. I shall become a mendicant and go to the holy city of Mecca. Now, you may say, all right, so here's this great devotee, but he's lying. He's not going to become, well, he's going to become a mendicant, Hare Krishna mendicant, but he's certainly not going to go to Mecca. So why is he lying? And is it permissible to lie? This is a very interesting question. That's dealt with in the Mahabharata, where grandfather Bhishma refused to lie, and he created havoc in the lives of so many people because he wanted to stick to his vow of supporting the demons. So the point is that sometimes in protecting someone's life or protecting religion, it's necessary to lie. Only extreme cases, not normally. Not normally. But extreme cases like, someone says, I'm looking for Bir Krishna Maharaj to kill him. Have you seen him? I will say, who's that? Never heard of the guy. To protect my life. So this was necessary. Tatapi yavanamana prasana na dekila satahajara mudratara agirashi kaila. Sanatana Goswami could see that the mind of the meat eater was still not satisfied. He then stacked 7,000 gold coins before him. Bribery. Of course. That everybody has a price. This is India. Lobahaila yamanera mudhurdegiya ratreganga parakaila daduka katia. When the meat eater saw the coins, he was attracted to them. Wow. Okay, I'll set you free. He then agreed. That night he cut Sanatana shackles and let him cross the Ganges. Garadwara patakchadila nare tahanyaite ratridina chalayaila patada parvate. In this way, Sanatana Goswami was released. However, he was not able to walk along the path of the fortress because he wanted to be hidden. Walking day and night, he finally arrived at the hilly tract of land known as Patada. He had a servant with him too. Tata eka bomikahaya taratami kila parvata parakarama vinati karila. After reaching Patada, he met a landlord and submissively requested him to get him across that hilly tract of land. I need some help. Can you help me? Sei bunara sange haya hata ganita bunara kane kage sei jani ekata. A man who was expert in palmistry was at that time staying with the landlord. Knowing about Sanatan, he whispered the following in the landlord's ear. Ooh. In haratani suvarnera asta moharahaya shuni anandita buna sanatane kaya. The palmist said, this man, Sanatan, possesses 8 gold coins. Hearing this, the landlord was very pleased and spoke the following to Sanatana Goswami. Ratriye paravataka para karibani jalokadiya mojana karahatumi Randana Kariya. The landlord said, I shall get you across that hilly tract at night with my own men. Now just cook for yourself and take your lunch. So, one thing we can understand here, is that too much devotion is the sign of a thief. Like if someone comes to you all of a sudden, and you don't know them, and they say, what can I do for you? Anything you want. And they're going to probably pick your pocket or do something. So this is what the landlord was planning to do. He was planning to kill Sanatana Goswami. Etabali anadila kariya samhana sanatana sitabe kailanadi snana. Saying this, the landlord offered Sanatana grain to cook. Sanatana then went to the riverside and took his bath. Dvipavase kaila randana bhojane rajamantri sanatana vicharila mane. Because Sanatana had been fasting for 2 days, he cooked the food and ate it. However, having formerly been a minister of the Nawab, he began to contemplate the situation. In other words, formerly being a minister means he knew politics. He knew that if someone is really nice to me, watch out. It's like, I remember years ago when I would go into a car dealership to purchase a car. The dealer was so nice. It was like my best friend. Oh, Mr. Swami, how are you? And how are the little Swaminis? No Swaminis here. How's the little? How's the Swamiville? I said, no family. Oh, that's okay. It's so good to see you. Oh, you are so nice. And here's a car for you. So, hey, bunakene more, samana karila, itachinti sanatana ishane, huchila. As a former minister for the Nawab, Sanatan could understand diplomacy. He therefore thought, why is this landlord offering me such respect? Thinking in this way, he questioned his servant whose name was Ishana. Tomaratani jani kichu dravya achiya, Ishanakahi moratani sata mohara chaya. Sanatana asked his servant Ishan, I think you have some valuable things with you. Ishana replied, yes, I have 7 gold coins. He lied to Sanatana Goswami because actually he had 8. But he didn't even want to tell the truth. Shuni Sanatana Tare Karila Barchana Sange Kene Aniyacha E Kala Yama. Hearing this, Sanatana Goswami chastised the servant, saying, why have you brought this death knell with you? Tabe se Sata Mohara Hastete Kariya Bunara Kachayana Kahi Mohara Dariya. Thereupon Sanatana Goswami took the 7 gold coins in his hands and went to the landlord. Holding the gold coins before him, he spoke as follows. E Sata Suvarna Mohara Chila Mara Ihalana Dharma Deki Parvata Kara Para. I have these 7 gold coins with me. Please accept them, and from a religious point of view, please get me across that hilly tract of land. Rajabandiyami Gada Dwara Yaite Na Pare Punya Habe Parvatama Deha Para Kari. I am a prisoner of the government and I cannot go along the way of the ramparts. It will be very pious of you to take this money and kindly get across the hilly tract of land. Bunahasikahe Ami Janiyachi Pahile Ashtamohara Haya Tumara Sevaka Anchale. Smiling, the landlord said, before you offered them, I already knew that there were 8 gold coins in your servant's possession. Tomamari mohara la itama ajikara ratsye malahaila kahila tumi chuti lana papa haite. On this very night, I would have killed you and taken your coins. It is very good that you have voluntarily offered them to me. I am now relieved from such a sinful activity. Santushta ahilana amimohara nala iba punyalagi parvata toma parakari diba. I am very satisfied with your behavior. I shall not accept these gold coins, but I shall get you across that hilly tract of land simply to perform a pious activity. Goshani rekahe Kehadravya Laivayama Mari Amara Prana Rakshakara Dravya Angikari. Sanatana Goswami replied, if you do not accept these coins, someone else will kill me for them. It is better that you save me from danger by accepting the coins. Very intelligent. Tabe Punna Goshanira Sange Charipai Kadila Ratrie Vana Pate Parvata Parakaila. After this settlement was made, the landlord gave Sanatana Goswami 4 watchmen to accompany him. They went through the forest path for the whole night and thus brought him over the hilly tract of land. Tabe Parahana Goshani Arpuchila Yishane Jani Se Shesha Dravya Kichu Ache Tomara Tomas Dane. After crossing the hills, Sanatana Goswami told the servant, Ishan, I think you still have some balance left from the gold coins. Ishana kahe eka mohara ache aba shesha Goshani kahe mohara lana yaha tumi desha. Ishan replied, I still have 1 gold coin in my possession. Sanatana Goswami then said, take the coin and return to your home. So because he was greedy and lying, he was sent away from Sanatana Goswami's association. So today we read text 1 to text 35 in the 20th chapter. And then we will take some cuestionitos. We will stop sharing. We will unmute or allow you to unmute yourselves. And now you can ask questions. Such an interesting story, and so many philosophical points and practical points came out during this story. This is a really important story. So, who has a question? Raise your hand. Type in the text window, or you can unmute yourself if you're bold. So, nobody has a question? Going once? Well, we can always end early. It's all right with me.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Oh, Lord Brahma, okay.
Please accept my humble obeisances. Maharaj, you said only in dire circumstances we are supposed to lie. How are we supposed to know? We are so ignorant. Should we consult with our guru? Which situations warrant?
Well, as a businessman, then there's actually, if one is a Vaishya, businessman, sometimes lies are required. Like you have to say to someone, there is no profit, but you shouldn't cheat people. In other words, you shouldn't sell people something that's useless. But sometimes a businessman has to say, well, we're selling this at a loss. So that's a Vaishya. But someone who is actually acting as a preacher, as a Brahmin, does not lie. Because it's one of the qualities. Some of them at the Pakshacham, Shanti Raja, Mevaja, Gyanaviganamastikyam, Brahma Garba Savavajam. A Brahmin or a preacher, a representative of Krishna, doesn't lie, but a businessman may, under certain circumstances, have to tell not illegal things. Prabhupada said, it's a simple lie to tell people you're not making a profit. So one has to use their intelligence. But generally, there should not be any lying. I mean, exceptional cases. I mean, I'll give you one case, my own case. This is actually a practical case. One time I was going into a country where it was illegal to be a Hare Krishna devotee. And there's a temple there, but they wouldn't let people in who were Hare Krishna devotees to preach. So I dressed up. I think I had a wig on or something like that. At that time, I probably didn't need a wig. So that was years ago when I was a young whatever I was, a young devotee. And I went to the immigration guy, and they looked at me, are you a Hare Krishna? And I said, Hare Krishna, what's that? I didn't even pronounce it right. I probably said, Hari what? What are you asking? And so I got into the country and I did some preaching. So there's certain exceptional cases, and one has to use their intelligence. But when you're actually presenting Krishna consciousness, don't lie. When you're dealing with people, you're bringing the Krishna consciousness, don't lie. In business dealings, or let's say if you get stopped for a speeding ticket. That's another personal example. I got stopped. Many devotees have heard this story. I got stopped. I was going twice the speed limit. And the policeman said, do you know how fast you were going? I said, no, I was just trying to merge with traffic. But I wasn't. And I still got the ticket. Didn't work. So, there's certain exceptional things, certain times, exceptional things, but it's not a good idea to lie, because lying, when you start lying, you'll actually be cultivating the lower modes of nature, and it will affect your consciousness. In addition, people will not trust you when you lie. So I would say it has to be really exceptional. In the Mahabharata, there's this story about lying. let's see, once upon a time, there was a group of dacoits who were gundas, let's say gundas, to use the Hindi word, uh, who were following a family. They wanted to kill the family members for some reason or other. I guess they were really, I don't know why, but they were following the family, and so they went looking for the family. The family took refuge in the ashram of a guru, Brahmin. And so the dacoits, they were going, where is this family? Where's the family? We want to kill the family. So they came to this guru, to this Brahmin, and they said to him, have you seen this family? We're trying to follow them and kill them. And the Brahmana guru said, I cannot tell a lie. They're in my ashram. And so these dacoits went into the ashram and they killed the family. And that Brahmin went to hell because he didn't protect someone who was taking shelter of him. So, or, like during World War II, if someone was protecting people the Nazis were after and they had to lie to the Nazis, that's an heroic activity. So it's a question of using one's judgment when it's necessary, but not as far as preaching Krishna consciousness. A Brahmin or someone who's a representative of Krishna should always tell the truth, except if there's some danger like that. So, it's just not good. Let's see, here's a question. Thank you, Brahma.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna go today, been shrewd and sticking princes like Vasudev. Is it always good? Vasudev didn't stick to his promise. He said he would turn over all the kids to Kamsa, right? Did he turn over all the kids to Kamsa? No. He didn't turn Krishna over, did he? He did a switcheroo. He lied. He said that, actually he said, Devaki just gave birth to a girl, right? That's a lie. So you may say that Vasudev stuck to telling the truth. He didn't. He actually lied. And Krishna in the Mahabharata, so many times he's tricky and lying. And then you have him encouraging Yudhisthira to say that Ashwatthama is dead when Ashwatthama wasn't dead. But they arranged for an elephant named Ashwatthama to be killed by Bhimsen. So it was apparently the truth, but it was a lie. Because you could tell the truth in such a way that it gives the wrong impression, and that's exactly the same thing as lying. It's not that Yudhisthira didn't lie. He lied. Because he gave the impression that Ashwatthama was a person, not an elephant. So he was guilty of lying, and he was also guilty of disobeying Krishna. So, extreme circumstances. So you brought the point up, Radhika, about Vasudev, not Vasudev. Vasudev is Krishna, Vasudev, and he did lie. So, saving someone's life. I mean, if I could save someone's life by lying, I would lie, whatever required to save someone's life. I'm not going to allow someone to be killed. Anyway, Vasudev was known as someone who always told the truth. But he lied for the sake of Dharma. Bhishma didn't lie for the sake of Dharma. Bhishma stuck to his promise, and the result was adharma. So the whole point of truthfulness is actually, or speaking, is what is dharmic is that which has a good result. And that which is adharmic is that which has a bad result. Now, but when preaching Krishna consciousness, we don't lie. Prabhupada never adjusted things. Prabhupada was straight to the point. I mean, we don't have to present everything to people. Just like I am going to the university and talking to people who eat meat sometimes. And I don't say to them point blank, you are going to become a pig in your next life. That would be counterproductive. I just say, take this prasadam and chant Hare Krishna. But if they ask me about karma, what's the result of eating a hot dog, I'll tell them, pig life. But I'm not going to volunteer it. That would be stupid. I mean, every single person I preach to, if I just tell them, oh, you're a pig, you're a cow, you're a, what else do people eat? I mean, I don't know. You're a lamb, you're a goat, you're a chicken. You know, you go around the room and just like give everybody their future. I said, you know, this would be interesting. I could say, I can tell everybody's future life here. You know, we're doing a college program where I can tell everybody's future life. And they say, wow, can you tell my future life? And I said, sure. Tell me what you ate for dinner last night. And they said, I went to KFC. And I said, well, your future life, I'm looking in my crystal ball. Crystal ball. You are going to be a chicken. So, I mean, that would be the truth. But also, Krishna says in the Gita, Satya Prihitam, you have to speak truthfully and beneficially. You've got to be careful. Okay, so Mahamantra, you have a question. You unmuted yourself. Maybe you don't have a question. No, you muted yourself again. So, yes, so that's the point. We speak the truth, but you don't have to tell everybody everything, or else they just like freak out. Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, you said if it's a good result or a bad result, based on that, we should uphold the truth or not, right?
Yeah, good.
What
By
is
good
it?
I mean dharmic. By good I mean dharmic. Bad result means adharmic. But if you're doing business, it's a different thing. If you're a Vaishya or if you're a politician, you know, maybe. But I'm not a Vaishya. I'm not a politician. I'm representing Krishna, so I tell the truth. Unless I'm protecting someone. That's all. It just depends on what your position in society is. And my position is that I'm presenting Krishna consciousness, so it's really important. It's really important that I tell the truth, so that people trust. I can't be slippery, nor do I want to be. I mean, it makes me very uncomfortable. I'm a very bad liar. Because everybody can see in a second that I'm lying. Even when I'm joking. Sometimes I tell something joking and the people can tell. Because I can't keep a straight face. So, all right. So thank you very much. I have to end now. We have some guests coming over. I think Adi Guru is supposed to be here in a second. So thank you very much. We'll see everybody tomorrow night, same time, same station. I really enjoyed the class tonight. All glories to His divine grace. Srila